Good deal. Well, so yeah,
right.
if
Ladies
we're live,
and gentlemen,
go ahead.
I think we are officially live. I'm looking over on my secondary monitor. Let's see if this works. Hang on, let's see if we're getting audio through.
Well, so
yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we are officially live. You have no idea. I honestly didn't think this was going to work for like 5 minutes. Okay, cancel that audio on my mic. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are officially live. Real quick to the audience, they're maybe here from yesterday. I'd like to say a quick apology for going live about 30 times and giving you guys just spamming your notification box
every time.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out how to set this thing up. Like, why is it working? It was working 5 minutes ago. But anyway, we got it up and running. So thank you all for joining us. This is our first installment of Questions and Ammo Live. So give yourselves a round of applause, gentlemen. You guys are our first guests. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves real quick. I've plugged all your social media in the description down below, so if anyone's interested in checking these guys out, they're a great group of guys. So they're on Instagram and on YouTube. All that information can be found in the description down below. So let's start with Sho.
Okay, so what was the question about again?
Just introduce yourself a little bit.
Alright, so my name's Shohei. I'm from Japan, Aichi Prefecture. I played Airsoft for about 10 years now. Been also doing some real live fire shooting too, but these days it's Japan, so we only mostly have high percentage using the Airsoft in this country. But Japan's also started, I think it's the original place kind of Airsoft started, so it's going to have, and the culture is kind of big down here, which is pretty fun here.
Yeah. See, that's that was like our deciding factor for where we wanted to go when we decided to go, because we wanted to go somewhere different, because we've always been traveling to the U.S. for Airsoft, and then we're like, well, you know what? Japan's where it was founded. They probably have the most for it there, and we were also like anime fans and everything. So we're like, you know what? Japan sounds like a good bet. So that's where we, So that's where we decided to go. That's why. And then Johnny?
Yeah, I'm Jonathan. John, whichever. I've been in Japan now for 2 years. I'm originally from the States, Indiana, the land of cornfields and more cornfields.
Cornfields.
As you all know. Been playing Airsoft since 2013. So, 6 years now.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah, I initially started in Michigan when I moved up there for some internships. Started up there and then just kind of went from there. I've been involved with a few teams. I went to Purdue University, so we had a team up there. Quick shout out to them.
Nice.
Yeah, and then my work took me over here to Japan, and then I joined Tier1 a year and a half ago-ish. And Tier 1's been around for, I think, what shows, 2.5 years now?
2-3 years now, I guess.
Ish. So I kind of got there after it started. So we kind of expanded a lot since changing. I think initially it was just a group of guys that wanted to just go shooting together, and then it evolved into more of a team, and then now we're wearing multicam, full kit at each event compared to a lot of other airsofters here in Japan. So it works really well. And then I changed jobs and I moved to Tokyo. So naturally I wanted to keep doing what I'm doing. So I ended up starting up Tier 1 here in Tokyo. So now we have a group here in Tokyo as well as Aichi Prefecture or Nagoya City.
And it seems like it's growing pretty rapidly. I've seen you add, 2 or 3 members since I've even been talking to y'all. So.
I think we've been doing it now for 2 months now. Ish, something like that, and we've gone from just 2 of us to now 5 members plus a bunch of recruits that are kind of going through, because we want to give everybody kind of a chance to get used to them and figure out who they are, and then build up from there. So
what's your deciding factor for when you recruit them and when you actually make them a team member?
It's honestly just, so we have a rule set with our team. Right now, I think the minimum for recruits is 3 games that they have to just come to see who they are and everything. And then just also it's a deciding factor of, do you fit into the team? Do you understand the rules? Do you work well together with us? And are you just a good person? I mean,
That's such a hard factor. People do not understand either.
Yeah.
It's like, because you go to the field like, that guy seems like a good guy to play with, and then after you play with them for like 10 games, you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
that's an
Yeah.
issue. Like I'm still not even sure of show over here.
Well, I
don't know, yeah.
I mean, I didn't explain it first, but the Tier 1 actually started with about 4 guys with me, including me. Mostly we're like, it just became like a first foreigner, like Facebook, let's play Airsoft team together. And because it's in Japan, the the foreign percentage of playing Airsoft is really low down here. So we kind of get up together. Well, I'm a Japanese, but so I kind of met up with them, and then we kind of played it a lot, and we hanged out a couple of times, and we decided like, oh, if we just go around here like this, and why don't we just make a team? And yeah, so we kind of ended up like that.
Yeah. Well, then that's super cool too. I mean, y'all were the only ones that actually, that I saw that actually had a lot of like English, and like were kind of your social media was bilingual at least. So then I was like, okay, well now I don't have to worry about bothering these guys because they're not going to be like, what is he saying? Like, so, and then that and your buddies helped us up with that, so we were able to contact you, and it made everything a lot easier because like I had no idea where to start. Like there's like almost no listing of fields, so it was like just a chance that I happened upon SAR, and then he hooked me up with y'all, and so yeah, it worked out really well. But
cool. All right, just real quick, sorry to break in here. So we've gone for about maybe 5-7 minutes or so. After we're done with the introductions, I just want to let the audience know because we got some questions regarding when the Q&A is going to start. So kind of how we want to format this is we've never really done anything like this before, so we're going to do kind of like a hybrid of answering your guys' questions live on stream. We're going to like open discussion too. So if you guys have any questions regarding our time in Airsoft or just Airsoft in Japan or like basic Airsoft questions in general you'd like us to answer, go ahead and leave them in the chat. I'm monitoring them, so as we jump through them, I'll pick out some ones that I think would be interesting, or if we don't get too many, maybe we can answer all of them. I don't know yet. So we're kind of new to this, so we're honestly just waiting the format a little bit, but we're just going to have fun with it and enjoy it. So yeah, anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut in with your introductions. You continue. I just wanted to answer that real quick for our audience so they understood what was going on.
Well, so what I was going to ask is, what is the culture, the Airsoft culture, like in Japan, from y'all's opinion, since y'all play there, obviously, like, quite often?
I can kind of do it from a foreigner aspect, and then Sho can give kind of a Japanese aspect from it, of how he thinks about it.
Yeah,
I think that may be easy.
Yeah.
I guess I'll start off from my point of view. There's a lot of different groups of people. I mean, you have people from wearing like going to an event and wearing, I don't know, just hoodies and everything like Speed Soft or whatnot like that. And then you have people going up to being completely kitted out like we are and everything, and just a whole range in between of that. And along with that, there's also different groups of people. As far as also there's people that want to play Airsoft, or people that want to cosplay, or people that want to be serious, kind of more of a team aspect, so sort of more of a MilSim aspect. That's kind of like the big 3 groups.
And MilSim is a little bit of cosplay too.
It really is. It really is.
Cool.
Oh, Japan doesn't really have a MilSim like in the foreign countries. Like, no, we don't really have like a actual MilSim game. Like, people will dress up like MilSims, like US MCs.
And so that's why Tier 1 initially wanted to get started, so we could be more of a MilSim group.
Well, that's what we kind of started, and then that's why we kind of set it up, our basic standard kit for all that everybody has to have with multicam. But in Japan, it's really, as John said, it's like really a cosplayer, or just people who want to play Airsoft, or people just do it as a sports.
Yeah.
And these couple of years, the Airsoft community in Japan is kind of growing up. Before, it was like really seen as really like because it's Japan, we don't really have guns, so people really kind of thought about scare sports. But these couple years it kind of changed, and there's a lot of it actually getting famous as like a sports now. So
Yeah, no, we have Speed QB now going on. I think Speed QB is in California and everything too. That's the 5v5 games.
It's huge here.
Okay.
It's gotten huge now. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you got the two main subsets in Airsoft now, at least in the United States. You've got Speedsoft and MilSim, and I guess you can kind of put more casual players in their own subset, but I think they ultimately prefer to fall into, like, either more tactical play or they rather rush. So it's like you're either in one of these two camps. I guess there's a little bit of a middle, but for the most part, it's really a binary system.
Yeah, and it's funny because like that's the difference between like when we got into airsoft and grew up and got into it and started, is that when we were putting the team together, people like generally want to, if they're not trying to do speed QB, which is a kind of a newer thing, people were always like, okay, well, I want to look like the guys in Battlefield 4. So that's what we were attempting to look like and trying to emanate and stuff. And so MilSim is kind of like a natural progression. Like usually the longer that someone is in airsoft, and it definitely depends on the person, but usually the longer that someone's in airsoft, the more of like the tactical stuff that they adopt. And that's not always the case. Like some of the guys that I play with out here in Alaska, they've been playing for a really long time, and they are just all about like they're kind of like a Nut and Fancy. I don't know if you've seen him on YouTube, but they just never works, and they're just all about kind of sneaking around and everything, running really lightweight.
Those are like the AMS MilSim West events type of guys, and then they'll go to like DV8 has a lot of those people. Most CQB arenas tend to be speed soft. I don't really see a lot of CQB fields. That's what's interesting when we went to Japan was you had like a lot of, I guess you call MilSim guys like Show here doing like the full military load. I mean, your background is obviously military, so that makes sense, but it's very interesting to see you had a lot of kind of military simulation guys in CQB. I don't really see a whole lot of that here in the States. It's like 95% speed
It's
soft.
super uncommon.
Yeah.
And I think it's super cool though to be running MilSim kits and stuff in CQB environments, because I feel like that's as close to like force on force training as you're gonna get.
Right.
Oh
like,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
I really like that aspect. But yeah, so I think what y'all are doing is super cool.
Sorry to butt in here, but I think we got a few questions if we're ready to answer some if y'all are ready.
All right.
Sure.
So let's see. Let's just start. I'll go in chronological order. Okay. They've just been patient, so let's see. All right. How many guns do you have, and what is your favorite gun in your whole collection? Asks Jack of all trades.
Okay, well.
Oh, you want to start, Dan? Okay, I guess you start.
I'll start.
Dan, sure.
Sorry,
So
Mike died on me there.
That's okay. I've been playing for probably 8-9 years now, I would say. And when I first got into it, like before I even started playing with Matt and all them, and it actually became part of what is RWM now. But prior we were called ODA. Before we realized that ODA was an actual detachment of the Army, and people were calling us like Stolen Valor, and we're like, dude, we're 13. We just didn't know what the acronym meant. We just made it. But
it was literally a complete fluke. Like I think it was like, I don't even remember the acronym anymore. It stood for something. I think I covered it in like one of my old videos. Something like that. I don't even remember. And then some people are saying like, dude, you're not ODA guys. And I'm like, what's an ODA? I was so confused. And then I was
so when we started back then, I actually found this gun in a closet of a house that I moved into. And it was super random. I went up and I'm like, okay, well, I guess this is our new house. And we walked in there, and I go and I look in the closet of my bedroom, like, there's 3 airsoft guns in here. And like one of them was like a Both Elephant G36 with like some Chinese brand airsoft gun that was terrible. Nothing was good about it. And the other one was like a plastic Uzi that was like powered by AA batteries, and that was kind of fun to goof around with. But this is a GMP SPRA, and so it's designed after the special purpose rifles that the Army and MARSOC used in the early 2000s, all the way down to, I took the original muzzle device off of it, but it has that kind of larger, not birdcage style, but maybe a little bit elongated.
It's a cutaway comp. It's designed to
Exactly.
accommodate like an extended suppressor that goes over the barrel. It's kind of a funky design by Knight's Armament, I believe.
Exactly. And it has the Knight's Armament rail. I mean, everything is like the real deal on this gun. It was probably pretty expensive, and they just left it there. And so over the course of however long, I've been continually upgrading it and adding different things and such, and it's changed a lot. But that's my favorite.
How many do you have in total, Dan?
I'll grab in mine then.
There you go. Probably, I don't know, 7, 8 of them. I don't have a ton of airsoft guns. I just kind of bought whatever I needed for the time being. I've got that. I have an Elite Force Tavor, which is my favorite kind of shorter, more compact rifles, and I used for CQB the first time I played it. And by the way, another crazy thing about our CQB is that like the FPS restrictions are generally 350 or 400 feet per second.
Yeah.
With 2 of them.
Yep.
So that fit within those guidelines here, and that's like unheard of in Japan. And honestly, it doesn't need to be that high here, just because the distances are like so close.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Well, the issue here in Japan is we're stuck by the law here. We're stuck. We're only allowed 1 joule rifles here. Otherwise, they count as a firearm.
What's it? 0.98 joules there in Japan?
0.98 meters per second.
0.98 meters per second. Okay.
Or
1 joule.
1 joule. Okay. All right, Sho, what do you got? What do you have? What kind of treats do you have for us?
All right, then. Because I'm in Japan, that most of my 10 years I've been playing with the Tokyo Marui AGs.
Nice.
But I kind of ended up buying a system electric gun.
Super
What
dope.
I got here is an HK 416D with a
all the bells
system.
and whistles.
What it has guys rear front rails and an Action EOTech front and a booster, and with a Magpul stocks and a few Magpul parches. It's actually kind of based on what like the U.S. Navy SEAL uses these days, and it's really close to the setup like on the TV drama The SEAL Team.
Okay.
It's almost set. Well, it's actually ended up same. So I didn't copy it.
Looking super sick, dude.
Well, yeah, and see, that's one of the things that I've noticed about a lot of the guys that run airsoft guns like that in Japan is they are decked out. Like they have all the right stuff on them. Like y'all don't spare any expense.
I think
quick question for Sho. I have a couple questions here for, obviously this is a Japanese themed episode. We have a couple questions for Tokyo Marui. You use Tokyo Marui frequently at all, or that kind of?
I have a. Well, so I've been using.
I'll be right back.
Oh, we got
Grab
okay.
one of
So
mine.
so in Japan,
Okay, so-
I think Japan, if you guys don't know, is like the birthplace of airsoft, and Tokyo Marui is an airsoft
like
company based in Japan. So a lot of the
Grandfather
guns.
Tokyo Marui, yeah.
Right. So while Tokyo Marui isn't as common here in the States, I think they're a little bit more common in Europe. In Japan, they're super common. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Sho.
So as you said, that's correct. The Tokyo Marui actually started in Japan, and it's a Japanese country. So the regular standard people doesn't really know how to like custom like regular guns to like do super high speed or high powered, and also the power limit in Japan are really lower than the States.
Right.
It's like I don't know how to say it in English, but it's like 0.98 joule under in Japan. So like you could not even if you shoot an electric gun to a can, the can will like the BB will not go through cans.
Oh, okay.
So it's the power restriction in here are really, really lower than the foreign countries, and Tokyo Marui are exactly made for that law under the Japanese law, and they have like the technique, and also they have the community to sell it down here, and also the brand. So the most of the Japanese starts and uses Tokyo Marui guns.
Okay.
That's my experience.
Cool. Huh. We got some
That's
people
super
like
interesting.
wondering about Tokyo Marui 1911s and high kappas. Let's see what someone say here.
Well, before we do that, let's get Johnny's opinion.
Yes, no, I was gonna get back to Johnny.
Yeah.
I haven't forgotten about you, Johnny. I know you're there. I was like trying to tie this
I'm
in.
such an
I was like,
asshole, man.
see if we can get this in. Let's go ahead. Johnny's got some guns in the background, so let's go ahead and see. Let's get Johnny's input. Then we'll go to some more live questions from the feed. So, what do you got over there, Johnny? You got some sick
So a lot of
toys in the
stuff I
back.
use. I like to make stuff Gucci also. So
Right.
My favorite that I'm using right now, kind of a Mach 18 build.
Nice. I love that Daniel Defense rail on it.
So it's a Daniel Defense Mad Bull rail with the front side post. I really like this one. So I started with the cheapest Tokimori recoil shock, which here in Japan, that's the M4A1, the long length. So that's where I got the longer barrel and everything here. And those actually aren't that, compared to the States, they aren't that expensive. Like $300 is what I spent on just the base gun.
That must be nice.
Yeah.
They're like, there's like a saying here in the States, they're like unicorn dust or whatever, because they're so good and premium price too.
It looks really nice though. And so what kind of optic is that on the top right there?
It's just a T2, but it's just a fakie.
Okay.
It's actually like, I think it's actually a little bit oversized fakie. So I have another one actually. Here, this is my other guy. This is my guy. You can kind of see that they're a little bit different sizes. Like this one's a little bit bigger.
But that one, is that one not fake or?
This one's fake also, but I think it's closer to the size.
See, good on you for running a fake one, because honestly, I don't like. I've seen people that run real EOTechs, and like good for you if you do, but I don't want to break mine. So that's the reason I don't do it. If you do, like, show, you're ballsy, but I can't do that.
Well, even still, a lot of what I'm getting now are like, pull this off. I have kill flashes on all of them.
Okay.
So they hit the kill flash if I ever get shot, so they never got shot out. I have had, in the States, I've had them get shot out, so I'm just like, nah, I'm done.
Yep. I've had 2 red dots get shot out at this point.
I've never had a red dot get shot out. They have those little, they have like those little protectors you can put up front on the rail, but those, I think those look really tacky, and I'm almost
shot out too.
So shot through both of them. Yeah, right.
Yeah. I've had the protector shot out, the one that mounts in front of it at a CQB field. So
you've also had that canted red dot that you on the side of your AR, and you dropped it at Overwatch.
Well, so it was above the scope.
Oh, above the scope. Okay.
Above the scope, but yeah, I guess I dropped or tripped. I fall a lot playing. I fall a lot. So I guess I went end over end and like hit it on the pavement and just shattered it completely.
Okay. What I do on my, so as you explained, like I use real EOTech on my M4, my airsoft guns. The reason I started using the real one is because from my experience, when I was starting airsoft, and about 2-3 years later, the Tokimori Next Generation came out. So it was like the first electric guns with blowback systems before, like that was the only time they had those was like the Tokimori electric blowbacks, or the WA M4 platform gas blowbacks. So most of that time, the popular industry down here was mostly fake. So like the cheap aim points to EOTech were falling apart with the next generation blowbacks. So that's what, and I killed like 2 or 3 fake EOTech when I was using one of those. Okay. So I kind of ended up buying, because that was like Ichiman, like $100 for each replica sights, and I broke like 3 of them, so it was like $300.
Yeah, so you may as well get a real.
Yeah, that's why I decided, like, well, why don't I just buy a real one then?
And so how did they break? How do they break on you?
So the inside, because of the recoil, so if this is the EOTech, the side, if you imagine, and it started like shooting, because of the recoil, it goes like, and then it was totally messed up, and I couldn't.
So the mirror in there was decalibrated, I guess. Then.
Yeah, because of the recoil, and probably the old time, all the AEG was the regular standard AEG, so no blowback. And I think after that, it started killing the sides. So that's why I've decided to get a real one now.
That's kind of interesting. So see, that's one of the differences between the clones there, I guess, and the clones here. Is one of the things you'll see with the clones here is that they're definitely made cheaply. They're not perfect like 2.5 MOA or 1 MOA, depending on the style dot that you get. But the companies, they make them so that people who want to put carved stuff on their rifles can do that. Like they're real rifles, and they'll handle recoil for a while, and they'll eventually probably walk off. But so that's what the market is towards. So they're probably a little bit sturdier here, the clones. But yeah, I would, if you're gonna shoot real steel, you definitely want to be using a regular like name brand optic, because I've seen some silly stuff too, where people go to Walmart and buy a $30 red dot and stick it on their shotgun. So.
That's something I'd recommend.
All right, you guys want to get in some questions here? We got a couple here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, so first one, let's go to, I think this is Carmeli, the Melon Protogen. I think I'm saying that right. And he or she wants to know, I wouldn't want to assume gender. They want to know, quick question, I'm about to start getting into airsoft. I've been interested in it for a while and wanted to know how to like get into a field and I guess find a place to play. Because I have some near me, but I don't know game days. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to answer that real fast for you. Is we've actually done a couple of video series on our channel. One's called Best Beginner Airsoft Gun and How to Get into Airsoft or something like that. You'll see them on our channel, and those videos will detail just about everything you'll need to know on how to get into the sport, how to find a group to play with, different tools you can use to find fields in your area and whatnot. So I would really check it out. It's a great source. Do our guests have any input on that? Like, what would that be like for someone wanting to get involved in airsoft, let's say in like Japan? So maybe like there'd be some cross reference there.
Mm.
Japan is honestly just go to a field. But as a foreigner, that is difficult sometimes. There is fields here that have English rules and all of those items. Well, like you guys went to Black Fox Airsoft.
Yep.
And
Black Fox and Hussar were very accommodating
Yep.
with that stuff. Black Fox, there wasn't anyone that actually spoke English very well there, but they made a really good effort, and they had English manuals to follow along with the rules, which was super helpful. And then afterwards, we sat there and bullshit with them for like 2 hours with Google Translate. So that was fun.
Yeah,
Mm.
and a lot of people. There's a lot of fields that are very welcoming to foreigners, and then there's some fields that don't want anything to do with foreigners, and then others that are just very leery of foreigners. There's just a three range of it here. But honestly, a lot of the fields here are pretty welcoming for foreigners, and they usually try to help out and make sure you understand the rules. And I mean, a lot of it, they have the rules online. You can easily use Google Translate to just copy the rules and understand it. That's how when I started playing, I just Google translated the rules and then got involved with Tier 1 at the same time, so that helped out a lot too.
Gotcha. And that brings me to something else too. So one of the things that we were talking about is like the difficulty that it can be with finding local fields, because you said there's like how many 100 or so fields just dotted around, and it's like only 3 of them show up on the internet. Like, didn't you guys say that you might be starting a website or something soon to do with that? Or
yeah, we're kind of, me and another member are kind of playing around with starting a website up here. Have the domain name right now. It's Airsoft Japan, but nothing's really been going on here yet with that. But also on our team website, tier1japan.com, or tier1.jp, excuse me. That one is, we have a lot of our fields that we're going to and everything. And actually recently I've been finding more fields on Google and everything, but the issue is if you search airsoft field, it's not in Japanese, so nothing pops up.
Okay, yeah. It's not a Japanese server either if you're in the US, so that's also an issue with finding that. So
yeah.
My explanation trying to explain for these sides, because like before 10 years ago, the airsoft was really not common. Past 5 years, the airsoft actually became really famous. Like all the magazines are starting using like models and
they call it like survival game there, right?
Yeah, it's not called airsoft. We call it survival games. It's actually the rules and everything is the same, but I don't know where the Japanese English came from, but
it's clever marketing, I would say.
I agree.
Because what's that? A survival game? That sounds badass. So
yeah.
Yeah, well, a lot of it's in. Go ahead, Joe.
There's a lot of fields down here, but it's actually what it's difficult to say is like there's big fields, famous fields like Black Fox and Hussars, but also there's like small fields which is owned by some man, and they just call it as an airsoft field, and they just rent it out sometime if people want to do airsoft kind of thing.
Yeah, and we have this in the States too. When I was in Indiana, always like most of the fields in Indiana, there's not really any real fields. I think there's maybe 2 now in Indiana. But most of them, you'd go onto the online Indiana Airsoft forum, and they'd have a game set up once or twice maybe there'd be a game once a month and then 2 another month, and it's just people's fields. And maybe it's a big wooded area, and they let people come out and they set up the event.
the population in the airsoft community in Japan is like, so a lot of people goes to the like Tokyo, Osaka, Nagoya, to like the big urban city areas. So it's really difficult to figure it out and find, and also organize a big wooden field in here. So what people do around in the big city is because like rent a room in the house and actually trying to own like a close quarter battle airsoft field. But if you go like to the little bit of the countryside, which is like one or two states next to Tokyo or Osaka, there's like a field that you could play outdoor in the woods, and that's like in Tokyo, for example. Chiba is like an access with like a train in about an hour. They have a lot of wooden fields, and
I think Chiba now has somewhere around 100 fields, at least.
Wow.
In Japan alone?
In just the one
Chiba alone,
state,
which
in
is like
Chiba,
state Chiba.
there's somewhere around 100.
Oh, I thought Chiba. Sorry, I thought Chiba was like an organization. I didn't realize it was a place. I was like, "What? That's huge! I didn't realize this." Like Airsoft GI and Evic, they have like a couple of stores. I'm like, this place is 100 fields. I don't.
It's weird. It's weird because I'm like looking at one field and I'm just like, wait, there's 5 fields like within like a couple miles of each other. I'm just like, why are there so many fields right in this small little patch of area? It's crazy in Chiba.
That's cool.
Yeah, because like here we travel, I don't know, like, or at least the home field for him and for where it was for me when I was in Florida. So we would travel an hour or so out to Lithia, which is in the middle of nowhere. And they have it's one of the best airsoft fields in the state, called DV8, and it's kind of famous for the armored warfare because we have like the tanks and APCs and like
cool.
2.5 ton trucks or whatever, how many ton, but yeah. So it's kind of cool. What was the question you were about to ask, Matt?
Yeah, sorry, just let me finish. Crystal, I think it's Crystal or Chrissy, I can't really see that, sorry. Wants to know any tips for foreigners who want to try airsoft in Japan. My friends and I have never played, and our Japanese skills aren't very good either. Would language be a really huge hurdle for beginners playing airsoft there? Oh, you guys answered a bunch of those questions, but
yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I think one of them she touched on was the language barrier that I found interesting.
That's Christine, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, oh, is it? Oh, okay. Yeah. So
that's funny.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
The language barrier. Oh, sorry. I'll let you guys go.
I guess I can go to me on the language barrier. There is issues with it, but the biggest thing with it is you just need to Sorry there. Fucking thing. The biggest thing is just understanding the rules and not being a hassle to the people at the field. If you're pretty tame and not getting mad at people and just being a good sportsman, a good sportsman, a good sportsman, nobody will really mind all that much. Like I said, there is fields that don't want foreigners coming and some that are more strict with their rules.
Really? That surprises me.
There has been a field that in the past there was a rule said like if you don't understand conversational Japanese, you can't play.
Let me explain for that my side. So there's there's actually like a lot of foreigner people, but like kind of goes like there's a lot of Philippine people there. I'm not saying Philippine people are bad, like Filipino group or like a Brazilian group and stuff like that. So not everybody in the team just understands full in Japanese. So they actually have problems sometimes understanding the rules and then the between the player and also the field. So my experience, most of those field doesn't really like let foreigners play alone is because they actually have experience having problem with those. The population, the foreign population in Japan are really high these days, and especially for Asian people, not everybody understands English, right, in the world.
Yeah.
So there are people like that who couldn't even understand English. So it causes a problem between languages, and I've seen few teams which had a problem that in around these Nagoya area too. So that's actually kind of why me and my friend kind of ended up making Tier 1 first, because when I started Airsoft, I started with a random foreigner friends, and we were kind of famous because we're like the only foreigner team in this area. But the problem was like if I didn't go there, or a few of my friends who understand Japanese were not there, like they had problem with language, and they actually kind of run into problem before. So actually, after that, we kind of decided that somebody in the team, my old team, was like somebody in understand Japanese will have to follow that day and trying to take a lead. But so that's actually how Tier 1 basic was from my experience, and then ended up because luckily in our group, kind of a lot of people understand Japanese, and they actually have like a Japanese wife, so we don't really have that much language problem these days. But yeah, from my experience, there are some foreigner team. If you just go there randomly, that you might have problem with languages. So I mean,
Yeah,
exactly. And we got really lucky with Black Ops because I tried to sign up for the game prior. I couldn't figure out the website because it was all in, I don't know if you guys call it kanji or just Japanese text. And I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
We're just going to go and see what happens.
What I recommend, if you live in like the Japanese Kanto area, like Tokyo, Chiba, or Yokohama, Kanagawa area, those places, or also like in Hiroshima area or in Okinawa, there's a lot of U.S. military personnel down there, and there's also a lot of airsoft field, and those fields are actually welcoming like U.S. personnel for just coming in there to play airsoft with them. In Japan, there's not much people who has military experience with real guns and knowledge like those, so that's why like the foreigners population here are kind of strong in airsoft, in my experience, because Tier 1 also had it like in ex-military personnel too, and those guys kicks pretty strong in the airsoft field. And some fields are really welcome to that, but some fields doesn't think it's fair. But like
I've
the
ran
fields
into that at times too on my side. Even just Tier 1 showing up at a field. We went to a field with just 5 members of us, and the other people were really move up slow, and we run up to the center and then take a point and then immediately end the game if it's a flag capture game, for example. So we run into that sometimes.
And we kind of encountered that too. Like I 100% understand it, but like when we went to Hussar, we played together for a few rounds, me, Matt, JoJo, and Sho, and then he was like, "Okay, well, we got to separate you because it was starting to get a little one-sided." So that makes sense. But I think
Daniel
also
kept shooting our own teammates, so that was another thing.
That Black Box, but yeah,
no, that was it both. I edited all
I don't
that
think I
footage.
had much of Hussar, not as much as Hussar, but yeah, that's one of the boundaries I've had to overcome with CQB is that usually there's such a
heavy trigger finger and I get tunnel vision.
Like there's such a distinct difference between where your enemy is and where you are. Like the battle lines are clear, and usually your guys are separated by like 20, 30, 50 yards in the woods and stuff. So like as soon as I round a corner, it's like, okay, it's me or him.
That's pretty much the philosophy there.
That's on my team.
Well, let's put it back to the conversation. So if you want to play airsoft in Japan, it depends on which area you live. I mean, if you have problems, just try to contact us, Tier 1 in Japan. We might be able to give you some of an idea.
And I was gonna touch on that point too. So like we have, I think next week we have a guy from Spain coming in, and he's going and playing with us in Tokyo area. So honestly, if you reach out to us, we're more than welcome to help out with you as far as Tier 1 here.
Oh yeah, you guys were all extremely accommodating when we went. I know we unfortunately didn't get to meet Johnny over there, but Sho and like everyone else we met was super accommodating, super friendly to us. So I couldn't recommend checking them out. They're a great group of guys. So actually, for any of our new viewers that are here, I put all of their information in the description down below. So they got Instagram. Do you guys have a Facebook by any chance, or it's mostly on Instagram?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
We do have a Facebook and Twitter. I think Twitter we only use it in Japanese usually because the Japanese Twitter is huge.
Right.
I think in the States it's kind of dying.
Yeah, Twitter. Yeah.
It's Japan. It's Japan, I'll say.
Yeah, but all that information for our viewers is in the description text of this video down below, and feel free to go check it out. So I got a few more questions here, Japan related, but Zoomboy56 has been asking a couple questions related to RWM specifically. I'm just going to answer those real fast. Will there be RWM patches for sale? Maybe, if we get enough people interested in it. I have to figure out like the system of how we go about doing that. But if you guys are interested enough, let us know. Maybe we could hook something like that up. That's a good question. I'll save that one for next. Any events
I
coming
would
up?
just say, like, if you're interested in buying a patch, just PM us.
Yeah, I might set up
I
a
mean-
system. Like I might set up like a shop you can purchase them at. I know a couple of our friends have that system, but I'm just gonna bulk through these real quick so we can get back to the conversation. Any events coming up that you guys are attending? I don't think so for me. I'm still in college. Nick and Daniel might have some. Do you know if any big events you're going to, Daniel?
I don't know if we'll have any time in the near future. I'm kind of at the mercy of what the military is doing with me right now because so I got my orders. I'm going to Korea next year, and so at this point I'm just kind of in limbo as to like where I can go and what I can do. I already have my leave pretty much used up until that point because I'm going on a trip in December and then I'm going home probably to drop my truck off before I go overseas again. I don't know if I'll be able to visit Japan. I might be able to while I'm in Korea. I know the flights are super cheap, but
Well, it's like a few hours in
Do it.
plane. You also could catch a boat.
yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I don't think me and Nick have anything planned. Nick and Christian might go hit an event though because they've already done that before. So
Okay. And last question. This is for everybody because I kind of like this one. This one's kind of fun. Are there any guns coming out soon that you are interested in about? So like any airsoft guns coming out that you might like on the horizon?
I'm really interested in that SIG M17.
Oh yeah.
It's already out, but
Yeah. That's a super cool handgun. I mean, okay,
I
I
want a
love
real
the
one.
M9, but that M17 is pretty sweet. That's just like the military version of the 320 by 6 hours. That FDE color on it's super sweet. What about you, Sho?
it's so good.
Well, I've been interested on. Well, I don't know. Well, I mean, for my first airsoft gun, right?
Not for,
yeah.
Airsoft gun. I don't know. I saw an AEG. I don't know. I forgot the manufacturer name, but it's also like it was a gun that you could use with electric. But also, if you ran out of battery, if you pulled the charging handle, you could just shoot it like an actual regular
cool.
bolt action rifle. I forgot. My friend owned ones, and it was like an AR platform weapon, and also it comes with the standard mag pull parches all over, and yeah, it moves and it works like a system. But the main difference was if you ran out of ammunition, if you ran out of battery, you just have to pull the charging handle like a real one, and then you could just use it like a bolt action.
And it just cycles. That's interesting.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, wow. And I forgot the name. I totally forgot the name, but
That would definitely be unique. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Was that the Korean brand one? That's kind of like a gas blowback, but uses the gears to push the piston back.
No,
But
it's a total AEG. It's an
Okay.
AEG, and all the like for example, I got a gas blowback here. It was an AEG gun, but all the like the charging handle and like the bolt moves like a gas blowback, but also if you ran out of electric and you just have to pull the charging handle, and then it became like a standard bolt action rifle. I forgot the name. I'm sorry.
That's
okay.
But
Yeah.
So
was a
many
gun
to
I
keep
was
track
kinda
of.
Interested on. But I thought that was a really great system. I forgot the name. I'll kind of research it later.
Nice. Cool. Daniel?
For now, I don't know if there's any airsoft guns that I have on my list. I mean, I kind of would like to buy the same one that I had in Japan, but just with I guess the US version, so that I would have a little bit more FPS out of it. That would be really cool. But there's some real steel upgrades that I have to work on first for my AK and for my Glock. Like I'll show you some of the things that I want to do to my Glock is I want to get a red dot for the slide right here, and then I'm probably going to put in a new barrel, maybe a fluted barrel or something because I have my outdoors barrel that I have that's for plus P rounds, but I've been putting this one on for when I wear it because it's harder to conceal with that longer barrel. So and then I might get it's the extended button right here for your magazine release because it's kind of hard to hit on the Glock 21s, but those are kind of what I'm looking for right now. I don't really have anything airsoft that's pressing.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same camp as Daniel right now. Like, I really want to pick up another one of those VFC PDWs I was running in Japan. I had I was able to keep some of the attachments. I was able to keep the red dot, the suppressor, a couple of the stuff I brought over, but I want to remake that here in the States because I loved it so much when I was using it in Japan. But that was a funny story. When we went to Japan, we were under the impression that we could purchase the guns in country and then be like, oh, we'll just fly back to the States with them. And we went to like a couple different shipping companies, and they're like, no, we're not doing
Well, they
this.
freaked out.
And
they
they, yeah,
were scared.
I felt really bad. Like, we were very cordial and polite about them, and we had a translator with us, and she was explaining to them what it was, but they'd never seen anything like that before. And we're like, we had taped the barrels and everything orange. Like, no, they're toys. They're not real, but they were still like, whoa, what is this? And there was some debate as to whether or not we could fly back with them, but they had the G20 summit going on. That's where like a whole bunch of world leaders meet in one place. For anyone that don't know. So security was super tight, and we didn't want to, even if we were able to do that, we're just like, I don't really want to try to get through security with one of these things because they're going to be like extra on the lookout for that sort of thing. And then good luck trying to explain what an airsoft gun is to someone who doesn't speak Japanese, and it's like that's not a good situation.
No.
But for my gun, I think I'm the only one who hasn't shown a gun in here. I like exotic stuff, so I brought a Chris Vector. This one might be fun for the audience. I don't use this one.
Nice.
What sucks is when they designed this gun, they made the FPS too high, so I have to use this outdoors. Like, generally speaking, most CQB FPS limits are like 400 feet per second, but this gun shoots like 450 for some odd reason. I have no idea why. You can buy limiters for them. I just haven't pulled the trigger. No pun intended on that yet, but...
Well, that, and I don't know if a lot of fields will allow it with a limiter too. Like usually,
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I just use this as like a tank gun. Like in some of our DV8 videos, I'll just shoot this out the tank. Like I'll hold the stock on it. They have like the ports in the side, and I'll just like use this like a tank gunner. I think someone asked something about a Vector real quick. I just wanted to answer. So yeah, Wyatt R asked, I was thinking about getting a Crytek Chris Vector for my first gun. Is that a good choice? Now, I will say I'm actually a pretty big fan of the Chris Vector ergonomics. It's really compact. It's
heavy though.
Well, this is the gas blowback version, so yes, that is heavy, and I think it's more similar to the real one. Even
the electric one, when I had it, it was pretty front heavy.
Okay.
I thought it was heavier than the gas gun.
Right.
I think it's just realistic. It's probably realistically weighted because the real Vector is heavy too.
Yeah,
so.
it is. Because
the front gearbox on those are huge. Like it's like a normal gearbox. I mean, it's maybe this big-ish. I can't really explain it that much. But then, like on the Victor, as you're holding it there, it's all along from the front, from like the front handguard piece. That whole section is gearbox.
You're exactly right.
It's huge.
There's nothing.
It's a huge gearbox.
Yeah, there's nothing back here at all. This is just a trigger and a selector. Everything is up front. So like what you were saying, like the gearbox, the barrel, everything is right smack dab right here. But like you said, it's pretty front heavy. I personally don't mind it. Now, for a beginner gun, we actually, again, I think I mentioned this earlier in the video, we have a video on how to go about purchasing your first beginner gun. And one of the big things I mentioned there is price and availability of like a commonality of like magazines and stuff. So I personally would not recommend getting a Crytek Chris Vector unless it's something
magazines are going to be expensive.
It's going to be really expensive. There's going to be no commonality of these mags, so you're on your own. And odds are Crytek has the what do they call them? Proprietary mags on that, so you can't buy aftermarket ones, so you're going to have to buy from Crytek, and they're going to be expensive. So if you want extra mags, they're not going to hold as much as M16 mags would typically, and if you run out, or if you want to trade with someone, or even just get it repaired, there's no aftermarket parts for it, like internal-wise. So for a first gun, I would not personally recommend it unless it's something you really, really, really dig. So, and like
and you're also kind of limited to your play style.
Yes.
Vector. With any kind of platform, CQB platform like that, I mean, you're going to have to play CQB. With it like an M4, okay, maybe I want to switch the upper from a CQB to a long range setup, I would highly suggest going with an M4 platform as your first airsoft gun. That we have, like I said, we have it in our video. There's a lot of great $150, $200 price range guns, but as I always say, the poor man buys twice. So if you can afford something that's more expensive but it's going to last you longer, definitely go with that option, because you'll be using it 10 years down the road and won't have to worry about replacing it. So
yeah,
there's that.
Good question though. Good question.
Even Crytek is a good brand. I mean, I had no problems with my Vector.
Well,
I sold it because I just didn't like the ergonomics all that much.
That is the thing. They're kind of awkward. Like they're a little odd. I personally don't mind them, but it's like everyone's completely different. It's like buying shoes or something. Like everyone's a little different. Yeah.
I recommend if the question guy, whoever asked the question, if you are interested on buying a Crytek, the Crytek also makes AR platform and like M4 type weapons, so you might be able to try those out if you like them.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
fantastic.
Right. Crytek
Yeah,
makes fantastic stuff.
Well, the Crytek, the Japanese viewer size, the Crytek actually have a contract with Leilax. The Leilax was like one of the old-time upgrade parts, which they made like a highly super high cycle motor, or like custom included parts for the AR platforms with the Tokamoris. And actually,
They're kind of work with Prometheus now. I know a lot of people in the States use Tommy barrels.
Yeah, so they actually the brand got bigger, and then after that, they actually made a collaboration with Crytek. So from my experience, I really think the Crytek Inside are really standard gun, but it's actually like a little bit custom gun. So I think it's a little stronger than like the Chinese or like the right standard Japanese AEG guns. So if you have the money to afford it, and if you are looking for a good gun, Crytek M4 platform is probably, I think it's a good gun to start, but it might be a little bit expensive.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Yep.
Do you have any more questions that you're seeing?
I'm just going through right now. I'm going to go ahead and tell the chat. If you guys have any questions you want to ask, go ahead and leave them in the chat down below, and we will go through them and see if we can answer them for you. But while we're waiting for them to post some questions, guys, one of the topics, I think Daniel had a list of them, but one of the ones I saw, let's see, that was interesting me, and I know you want to talk about this too, Daniel, were the ins and outs of like going to Japan, purchasing stuff, playing there, things like that. I don't know if we covered that enough or not, but let's see. We had a list of things you wanted to say.
Yeah, one of them that I just wanted to make sure to touch on was just like we kind of talked about this earlier with the legality aspect,
right?
Of bringing them back through the airport. I don't know. Is there any way you can do that legally? Is there any way that you can bring an airsoft gun that you bought in Japan and back to the U.S. or whatever country you're playing from? Or is that just something that you should try to completely avoid?
So my experience with that, I've had some people do it. And what they've basically, the biggest thing that you have to have done with it is you have to have that orange tip on there.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest thing. And then usually just put in your checked baggage. I've had people do it fine, no issue. But it's up to your own discretion, honestly.
Okay. And so this is going from Japan to the U.S.?
Yeah. Coming from anywhere into Japan, don't bring a gun. It's way too difficult to bring it in. They have the FPS restrictions, and actually any import guns coming in that are actually sold in Japan. So Crytek isn't made in Japan. So to bring a Crytek gun over, like the Chris Vector, I had a sheet that they had in the box that said, I think had 10 shots. So it's like the FPS or meters per second listed each time. So it's like 90 meters per second, 91, blah, 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 all the way down. So that it is a approved gun for Japan that doesn't shoot over 1 joule.
Okay.
Like in Japan law, if you're over like the standard 0.98 joule, that weapon, that airsoft gun is counted as a sub weapon. Like it's actually it becomes like a hunting airsoft gun level. So you have to have an actual license for that. So I had friends who brought back importing guns from the States, airsoft guns. He took back the next generation M4 when it came out. What he did was change the muzzle to an orange one, and also he went through a couple paperwork, he said. And also bringing in is, as John explained, you have to have a proof that, which like it says like this gun is under Japanese law. And then you could probably bring the brand back. I never done that, so I don't know the experience. But what I heard, these are the things you have to 100% have to clear that gun is under Japanese law. That's the way I think you could probably bring a gun in. Right. But I heard it's pretty a pain in the ass. So.
Yeah. Like, I think the simplest solution would probably be if you're going to Japan to play airsoft, like if you're a foreigner, maybe know some people there that are willing to give you, like, lend you some of their personal weapons, or maybe rent some from a field, or you could do what we did and purchase them. That's a little bit more of an expensive option. Again, we were under the idea we could fly back with them, but obviously that wasn't the case. And again,
then we were under the impression that we could only, like, we didn't know if we were going to be able to rent any guns there. Right. I didn't, and that's kind of my error, is I didn't think that where we were going, we were going to be able to rent guns. But it turns out, at least at Hussar, they have a really big rental fleet. So I guess depending on the amount of players that day, you'd be able to find one. At Black Fox, it's probably best to bring your own airsoft gun, because it's not in the footage, but my gun actually went down for a few rounds. and we didn't know what the issue was. It actually ended up being a BE jammed up between the receiver and the feed lip. I guess for the feed nozzle on an airsoft gun. And so what was causing it is that I was having to manually reset my trigger because of the tension, the binding of the receiver. And so they had rental airsoft guns, and they let me use one of them for free. But there's like a little electric pistol. So yeah, it just depends on the field, really.
Yeah.
These days, most people have some, but go ahead, show.
I mean, that's what I said. Yeah, as John said, most of the Japanese airsoft here are actually having airsoft guns, rental guns, so for beginners. But also, it's actually good for travelers if you guys are coming overseas and visiting Japan. If you want to play airsoft in Japan, I would recommend you to find a field with rental guns. But what I will say to watch out is some fields are like in Hazard, they have like a lot of M4 platform rental guns, and most of the fields like have M4 scars or those type of weapons. But there are some field that you could only rent like a Glock 18 electric, the Tokyo Murray G18, the electric pistol.
Okay.
If you're like a regular AEG gas blowback rifle user, you won't like it. it's like you just pull the trigger and it's like pew, and it's you could shoot, you could play, but I mean if you are like a rifleman, you will not feel like you will be playing. That's my experience. So
and that's exactly what I felt like too. Now Jojo really liked running around with a little pistol.
Yeah,
but
it's effective, but if you are looking for those, I recommend you to research first and then try to find a field that you could find a rental gun. If you are just visiting here and just want to play, that's my option, because it's like you could probably rent a gun for about like $20 to $30, I guess, per day. So if you are just a guy who's visiting Japan and just want to try it out, I think it's a good way to try it out.
Yeah, I agree with Sho there. And just one thing I wanted to mention real quick, for legal reasons, please, before you do anything regarding like airlines with your airsoft gun, make sure you do a whole bunch of research. Make sure what you're doing in your area is absolutely legal. We wouldn't want any of you to get in trouble. So these are just our personal anecdotes from like what we've heard and what we've experienced. It's not legal.
We're not
advice.
lawyers.
Yeah, we're not lawyers. This isn't legal advice. Just letting you guys know. Okay.
My advice, if you are a real gun shooter and if you have like real EOTech or aim point like me, you could probably try to take it off and bring it to Japan. You could put it on your gun. Probably some people might think you want to use your optic that you're common in like familiar using with. I recommend don't try that. There's a possibility that you could not take the optics back to your country, especially like EOTechs. Yeah. EOTech, if you have an EOTech, if you not bring it in the actual correct way, your EOTech could be gone and just taken by the customers or whatever. There's a possibility though. So I
just did a lot of research into that too. And so with the ITAR restrictions, ITAR applies to firearms first and foremost, or weapons and ammunition and stuff. But then it goes down the list, and you have certain optics. Like for example, don't try to bring night vision to Japan. That will get taken away. That's not legal.
Exactly.
In the U.S., we can own a lot of things that are just not allowed in other countries. Yeah. And so optics are kind of like a gray area in some respects, and it depends on the country. But so obviously you can get real EOTechs in Japan, but I assume they're a lot more expensive than they are here too. Yeah. And that's probably part of that ITAR restriction, is that so for example, I was just reading something, and this is always happens with so in the higher ranking in the military, you'll sometimes see some crime, and there was a captain that was selling like hundreds of EOTechs over to South Korea, and he got put in jail recently because he got caught.
Well, that's a Japanese American guy happened in the U.S. military.
Exactly.
He imported about like 100 EOTech 553 or something like that, and then he got caught because of that rules, and also. I don't know how he was said. Well, there's a lot of things that which is true or not, but so my experience, if you have real optics, I know you want to use them because you're familiar with, but I recommend it's not worthless. You might lose your best optics that you have in yourself. So
exactly.
If you want one, then try to get like a cheap one down here. It might be a little bit expensive, but
just bring a clone.
Yeah, just clone, whatever.
I mean, this guy on here, I spent $50 on, so.
Exactly. That's how much mine cost, and I didn't have any issues getting mine into the country. So,
All right, we have a few more questions here. We actually got a lot more, so let's go ahead and do like kind of a. I want to try something. We're doing like a little speed answer question because I want to try to get as many questions answered as we can possibly from the audience.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll just briefly
absolutely.
hit a couple of these. So this one was, I think, just for me, and I'll just tell you real quick. This one was Matt. What is the event that you guys did at the closed prison facility? That's called Operation Overwatch. If you just look Operation Overwatch in the search bar on YouTube or on our channel, you'll find it. Let's see what else we got here. Okay. Are there some good places in Japan to go airsofting? I think we briefly touched up on that earlier, but like let's just give our top three. So the ones we went to were Hussar, that's fantastic. Black Fox Airsoft, and what was that outdoor field, Daniel, we were supposed to go to that was really nice?
Shoot, what was that called? The one that we CRA.
CRA, yeah.
CRA, Combat Ready Aichi. That's another good one.
We unfortunately did not get to go to that one, but that one looked really good. So from the actual guys that are from Japan, what are your three favorite fields to attend?
Oh no. CRA, I think, show for sure.
Yeah, CRA is good.
CRA is really good. I went to one recently in Saitama called Heads Kawagoe. That one was pretty fun. It's kind of far from everywhere, but I really enjoyed that one.
So where is Saitama?
Saitama is north of Tokyo.
Okay.
So there's that one that I really enjoyed. There's actually one I went next to Mount Fuji called Fuji Forest Force. Force spelled with an S instead of a C for some reason.
Creative. I like it.
That one was really fun. It's one of my buddy's field, and it's right next to Fuji, so it's really cool in the summer. I think in Tokyo it was like 100 degrees, but up there it was like 80. So completely different weather and fantastic.
That's gonna put me back in imagination during my drill times, because we have drills, big training field in Mount Fuji.
Okay.
Like probably it's kind of really close to it, so I could imagine.
Yeah, well, you were saying there's a giant training area right next to Mount Fuji, which I think is super cool.
If you check YouTube on the Japanese Self-Defense First Officer channel, there's a big exercise called Fuji Sokain. So it's like one of the biggest Japanese live fire drills, which we show to the medias and to civilian people. And all the guns and the tanks and all the things we use are live ammunition, and then we do a big drill to show to the media. So check it out on YouTube.
Yeah. I think you're showing us some videos from there too, so that looked pretty cool.
Yeah. And put it back to the topic. So my favorite field, I'll say it on this Tokai Nagoya area. So if you, in your view, are interested to come in Nagoya area, try it out. If you want a CQB close quarter battle airsoft field, I recommend Hussar. It's owned by a British guy, and it's really easy for a foreigner to visit. And also, they also have a lot of rental guns. So if you could just go there and just try it out, you just have to tell them you want a rental gun, then you will get an M4 platform for a rent gun. And also, it's close from a station, so it's really easy to transfer. If you want to play outdoor field in here, I recommend CRA. CRA is really getting famous field from about like 8 years ago. The people who runs it are really nice. Also, because we've been playing there a lot, so they actually don't mind foreigners playing down there, and they're really helpful guys. So I recommend if you are living outside, and also they also have a couple rental guns. So if you're also just a guy who wants to play outdoor, just visit it, and both of those fields are a good field. You should try it out if you want.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Tyler,
yeah, that's super helpful.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to cut in. Sorry. Tyler Conlin wants to know what is let's see. Oh shoot, I lost it. What brand is best for starter weapons? So my response to that would probably be cheap and affordable. So Lancer Tactical, Elite Force, something like that. If you're doing like an AK platform, that would be SEMA. Cheap and reliable. You want to test the waters, not spend a lot. Cho was mentioning some of that earlier, I believe. Actually, both did work. Yeah.
I agree with that.
Cool. Yeah. So, I think this has been a pretty productive live stream. First time for sure, and we definitely want to try to do these things in the future too. So if y'all are interested, we'd love to have you again. But yeah, I think we should probably start wrapping it up.
Yeah, I was just going to say that would be our last question for the stream. Hopefully y'all enjoyed watching it with us. Really glad to have our guests join us today. So big shout out to you guys. Big shout out to Sho and Jonathan right there for coming out and stream and joining us today. You guys have the floor if you want to say any final thoughts, plug anything you want. Again, to anyone watching, a lot of their information can be found in the description of this video down below. You guys have the floor.
Well, I can start off. I'm appreciate you guys having us here. It was interesting talking to you, meeting you guys for the first time. I was sadly couldn't meet you guys when you were here in Japan. Hopefully next time you guys get over here.
Next time, yeah. For sure.
Definitely. I mean, this is a lot of fun just kind of chatting with you guys here. Like I said before in this, I mean, it seemed like there's questions about playing in Japan and everything here. If anybody's ever wanting to come to Japan, easily hit up me and the team. Like Matt said there, they'll be on the description below for our contacts, Tier 1 Japan. Anytime, just hit us up, and we're more than happy to help you out.
Mm-hmm.
And same goes for anyone coming from Japan that might be interested in playing airsoft in the U.S. We can, if we can't help you out ourselves, we can definitely refer you to someone because we know a lot of people in a lot of places. So keep that in mind. And then show if you have anything.
Well, I mean, it was a great experience to doing. I never done this. It's cool, and yeah, as I said, playing with you guys before was really fun, easy to move around and do a lot of things. As John said, if the watcher have any wants help in Japan, just contact us. There's 2 division right now, which is like in Tokyo area, and if you live around the Tokyo area, contact the IG group, and we will definitely be able to help you a lot. And yeah, and just if you want to play, if we're just the guys who likes to play airsoft, so if you are interested, just contact us. Any questions or any information.
Good deal.
If anybody watching wants to join the team, and we're always looking for new people to join that live here in Japan. We always love meeting new people and playing with new people. I mean, we play with you guys, and
all right,
always
awesome.
welcome.
Perfect. Well, thank you all for joining us. That'll conclude this first episode of Questions and Ammo Live. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.